Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I just got back from Lake St. Clair where I was fishing the 7th event of the Bass Pro Tour, and I got invited to fish that based on my second place finish in the MLF Pro Circuit event on the St. Lawrence River. So being that it's a smallmouth fishery, I was pretty excited to go. I felt like I could do pretty well in the tournament. But having said that, I've been to St. Clair multiple times before, and it's not my favorite body of water because it has no structure of any sort. It truly is like a 30-mile circle of just sand bowl. It's got scattered weeds here and there, and it's got current, and it's got a main shipping ditch that goes through it, but there's very, very little structure in the lake. And because of that, it can make finding the winning fish difficult. It can make targeting fish difficult. You know, for me, it's more about trying to find a group of fish and capitalize on that group of fish. But you need those fish to have some big ones, included in that group. Otherwise, you're going to be fishing for a smaller caliber fish that's just not going to get the job done. You're not going to have a great finish. So, my track record there has been okay over the years. I feel like I'm always right around 50th or 60th place. But being that this was going to be a multi-fish catch, weigh, release format versus best 5, I felt pretty good about going there and just being able to find a good group of fish. And what I found when I got there is Lake St. Clair is not fishing that good right now. We were limited to fishing just the U.S. side. So I'm speaking, I guess, on the U.S. side, which I don't feel like is the better side this time of year anyways, but there's still normally some really good fishing to be had. And I never really found it. I went there, we were allowed to fish the St. Clair River, the Detroit River, and Michigan waters of Lake Erie. And that, for 2 days of practice, you're talking about 100 miles worth of water. You just can't break that down in 2 days. So I went there feeling like my best shot at finding a group of fish that could do really well in this tournament was on St. Clair itself. So I spent 2 days of practice drifting, basically, in areas that I have had good luck in before. And after 2 days of drifting, and when I say drifting, guys, the wind's really strong out there. You pretty much just pick a line and you drift for a mile or 2 miles or 5 miles, however long you want to drift for. That's how you cover water. And you'd make a drift and you might catch one, you put a waypoint down, and if you make enough drifts, what you'll find is you've got a cluster of waypoints in certain areas. So it's not a great way to practice, but it's kind of one of the only ways to practice on Lake St. Clair, because there is nothing that's holding these fish, and they move with the current and they move with the bait fish and they move with the wind. You just need to try to locate a group of fish and then stay on top of them as they move around. So by the end of the second practice day, I had found one area that I knew didn't have like what I would consider winning weight fish. Like I thought you would need over 100 pounds a day to do really well in this tournament. And turns out that's what you needed. But I also felt like because of the way it was fishing, that if you could catch 10 legal fish a day, that you'd have a shot of being, in that 30 plus pound range. And the area that I was fishing, I either was catching fish that were like 2.5 pounds or smaller, or I was catching fish that were 4 pounds or bigger. And, I felt really comfortable that if I could get enough bites, I would do okay in the tournament. So heading out on day one of the event, I ended up struggling in the first period. We had some cloudy conditions. The sun came out in the second period. I think I ended up catching like 5 or 6 fish in the second period and another handful of fish in the third period. And I had, I think, 12 total fish for the day with like 37 pounds, so a little better than the 3-pound average. And I was sitting in 17th place, which you need to be in the top 20 to advance to the next round after 2 days of competition. So being inside the top 20 after the first day was decent. But the one thing that was, I guess, good about it is everyone from like 23rd place to like 12th place was really tight. but from 23rd place down, there was a pretty big drop off. So as long as you could keep pace with the group, you probably were going to do all right and advance to the next round. And that's basically what I did the next day. I had the next day I fished, I think I had 10 legal fish. Again, the first period wasn't good. I think I only had one keeper, or 1 2+ pound fish. And I had another, 4 the next period and 5 the last period, something along those lines. I don't recall exactly, but I ended up with almost 37 pounds again, which was a really solid average. I mean, my top 5 fish both days would have had me in that 21 pound range. So I was catching good quality fish, just not real high numbers. So I made it to the knockout round inside the top 20. I think I was in 14th place after the second day of competition. And on the knockout round day, I just had one of those days where smallmouth sometimes gets your number. I had nine fish that I ended up losing, whether they jumped off, pulled off, whatever. I lost 9 fish. And those 9 fish on top of the 20 pounds that I weighed would have put me a lot closer to that top 10 cut line. I don't know that I would have been there, but I was definitely in an area where I saw a lot of fish. I just couldn't get them to commit. With the majority of the fish I caught was using my Lowrance active target. You're scanning this flat, you can see the fish, you throw it over to the fish and you see your bait fall down and you can watch the fish react. Sometimes they swim right up and eat it. Sometimes they meet it halfway down and they don't eat it and they follow it to the bottom and they'll follow it to the boat. And that's what I was getting a lot of on that last day. I was having a really hard time getting them to commit to the bait, and I was in some really rough conditions. So I pretty much had one cast at a fish. Once I got that cast in, the boat was 50 feet further down the bank, and I just couldn't work on those fish for an extended period of time. We got some mosquitoes here. The Wisconsin state bird is out in full force right now. So I didn't make the top 10 cut and get to move on. But it was a great event. It was a great experience. I really enjoyed fishing it. It was really nice to see a bunch of those anglers that I haven't seen for years that used to fish FLW. So it was nice catching up with some of those guys. Nice seeing some old friends. And so from a tackle standpoint, I mean, it was really pretty straightforward for me. I did, the classic drop shot. I was throwing the flatworm in one of 3 colors. It was pretty much, if it was overcast, then I was really preferring the brown back color. It's kind of white belly with a brown top on it. And then if it was sunny out, I was going just with the green pumpkin flatworm. And then if I had some of the areas you got into because of the strong wind, there were some milkier conditions and a little bit off color water. And at that point, that's when I was going with the goby color, which is just like a green pumpkin with brown and gold flake in it. But those were the 3 baits. I think they caught everything. I might have caught 1 or 2 on a Ned rig the first day. But everything basically was on drop shot. It's just such an efficient bait to fish when you're throwing the active target or using your active target, because you can throw it there, the bait gets down quick, and you can watch what the fish are doing versus throwing a moving bait or something that's much slower. From a rod and reel standpoint, the rod, I've talked about it before. This is an MHX blank. It's the NSJ 871. So it's a 7'3" length rod. It's a 1 power, light action, really soft tip, but just absorbs the fight of those big smallmouths so well. And then from a reel standpoint, this is just the Abu Garcia Revo Rocket spinning reel. And the thing that's so nice about the Revo Rocket is it picks up so much line per reel turn. It's an extremely fast reel. This is the size 20 that I was throwing. I'm trying to remember exactly. I think it's like 43 inches of line it picks up. It's just an amazing amount of line that it picks up per reel turn. It's almost twice as much line as other spinning reels. So because of that, when you're making casts at a specific fish, if your cast off or the fish swims the other way, you can burn this thing back in so much faster and make another cast to that fish. And it just makes you that much more efficient on the water. Really a great reel. The line was This is X9 braided line, 10-pound test by Berkley with a 6-pound 100% fluorocarbon leader, which is also made by Berkley. That's really my go-to setup anytime I'm fishing super clear water, smallmouth. Just a great rod reel line bait combination. I mean, honestly, if you're fishing smallmouth, that's like, that setup right there will get it done the majority of the time. So that's where we're at, guys. That's the end of my fishing season, unfortunately. I feel like I'm kind of ending the year on a high note. You know, I've had some good tournaments. I had a lot of television coverage, and I kind of wish we still had some more events coming up. But at this point, now the season's on hold until, I guess, January, it seems like. Still waiting to see what some of the schedules are going to be in regards to like the Bass Open schedule, to see if I want to fish some of that. I'm not sure yet what I'm fishing, but we'll wait and see. But anyways, guys, I appreciate all of you that are watching. If you got any questions for what I was doing, throw it in the comment section. Otherwise, stay tuned for new daily tips and tricks.